Hey team, welcome back to the lecture. So I want to talk now about the second set of operations that we're going to enable, which is to, first of all, I'm just going to enable finding all projects based on the project identifier. And I don't want to start doing this without defending my point on actually decoupling the project task list from the project itself. Yes, I know that that's a way to go, but I want to show you something real quick that's gonna bring more context on what I'm trying to do. So if you go back to our original design, if we go back to the endpoint where we get all of our projects, right now I'm still running with the project example that we created in the previous couple of videos. And if you go back to the route where we try and get our project by ID, you will see that we get the project, we get the information, and we get the backlog. And then within the backlog, we get the test. We get the project tasks that we created on that backlog ID, which we did before, right? So all good. This makes sense. I know it does. Now, what happens is, take a look at this little number right here, okay? 1.43 KB. Now, I'm going to restart my server because we don't yet, actually we do have, I could have done that instead. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was just gonna say we don't have to delete by backlog ID, but we do have to delete by project, which we're gonna test in the end so that you guys can see that it actually wipes the whole thing out, okay? But anyway, if I go and create this new project here, which I already did, and then if I go and get that project by ID, you can see that the size of the response is only 382 bytes, right? And we have the backlog object here. All well and good for now. Now, if we go here and we start creating project tasks, you know, let me see what's going on here. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Just a moment. Because I did not save this as I should have, and this is why. So remember, we're posting on the backlog with the ID of test1, all right, which is a project that we just created, right? So if we start trying to post new backlog items here, I can just go all day because, I mean, summary can be duplicate, right? I can go all day here. And I think right now I have 15, yeah. If I go and try and fetch that project by ID, which by the way is the operation that we use to call the project so that we can actually update it later, now we go from 282 to 3.5 KB. And then if we keep on adding, obviously, if we keep on adding, I'm just going to keep on adding and adding and adding all the way and just, you know, getting a ridiculous amount of tasks here. Then again, the action of just fetching our project goes all the way to 11.26 KB. So why do we need to have a project list? Imagine the backlog doesn't exist. And imagine those of you that didn't agree with me on not having the project tasks within the project. Imagine yourselves having 1,000 tickets because you have a really large project that's been spanning for 2 years, which is very possible. Trust me, I've been there. And imagine loading all of that just to update the project information, just to change the damn date because you guys got an extension, because you got additional features that the client requested. And look at this, right? Like, this is ridiculous. It went from 382 all the way to 11 KB while loading information that we do not need. So this is why I'm saying that I prefer to actually have an option to decouple that list from the project while keeping them tied by the project identifier, okay? So there's a good way of doing this, and you guys are going to see the immediate improvement in terms of the size of the payload that we're getting from the server. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go to the project And at backlog, we're going to use the JSON ignore. Okay, we're gonna do that. And the thing is that, yeah, we need to start using our MySQL, you guys. And I think in the next couple lectures, I'm going to take care of that. Now, let me just go back to Postman and see how many I created, just so that we have the same example. So 51, perfect. You guys are going to have to bear with me here. I apologize. This is time that we could have used just showing you. But anyway, you guys we're gonna have to take the extra step here, but that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna go and create our project again, perfect, and then we're gonna go and create real quick 51 tasks again. Okay, so this is, and we're stressing the server right now too. So and actually, just for kicks, I'm gonna go over that, right? And now we have 64 tasks, which obviously is going to be over 11 KB. But now if we actually do the request to get the project by ID, then now that request is actually 382 bytes, and it's going to be always 382, even if I double this, which I'm not. I don't want to bore you that much. But you know what? This changed, and I'm still getting a constant size. And again, all I need this call for, this API call for, is to update my project or to find project information about my project. I do not need to get my backlog there, right? So this is why this is in my head. This is was a way to go about this. All right. So then I can make another call, a separate call, to actually just get the list of tasks without the project information, because I do not need the project information, right? So I hope that makes a lot of sense. And then now that we have that, we're gonna start wiring our endpoint to get just that, to just get a list of project tasks based on the backlog ID. So we're gonna just set up a get mapping. Remember, curly braces here, backlog ID, okay? And then what we're gonna call this one is, let me think for a second what I want to call this one. It shouldn't really matter, but post. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to see my notes, see if I had anything there for that, but it's okay. I'm just gonna call it. I didn't want to wait for you. Didn't want to wait for or make you guys wait for me to open my notes. But basically, it's going to be a response entity of type list. Okay. It's going to be of type project task. It's going to return a response entity that has a list of type project task. Okay. And then we're going to call it, well, you know what? Get project backlog. It's as good a name as any. Okay. Backlog. All right. And then what we're going to pass here to this endpoint is going to be a path variable, which is of type string, which is going to be obviously the backlog ID. And I'm literally just gonna copy and paste this because I really wanna reinforce the point that they have to be the same. Okay, I have had issues in the past for naming them differently. I haven't really looked at if that's still an issue in SpringBoot 2, but I don't know. I don't want to take any chances because in the past I've had issues with this. And then what we're going to return is a new response entity of obviously type list project task. And then what this is going to return, what do we have wired here? We have the project task service. And what we're going to return is obviously the project task service, and we're going to create a new one called find backlog by project, by ID. Just good. And then what we're going to pass here is going to be obviously the backlog ID parameter, and with an HTTP status of OK. Okay. Now, for those of you that are not on IntelliJ, If you don't know this, and I know that I promised that I wasn't gonna do anything to ID specific, but I do understand that you have a similar option in Eclipse, which is to just create that method automatically in the project task service file. Okay, so just so you guys know that you have that option, I'm just gonna copy paste this here and do it manually, because I don't want any complaints. I don't want any complaints. I don't want anybody saying Carlos didn't cater to us not using IntelliJ, because I don't want anybody to feel left out because I am not showing that. Okay, so now that we have that created, the first thing that I want to do before going to our project service is that I'm going to go to the project task repository, and I am going to type. I'm going to create, by using the power of JPA, a custom query for this, and this custom query is gonna return a list of project task, and we're gonna call this one find by project identifier, and actually we might as well do this now, order by priority. All right, and as you can see, the IntelliSense tells you exactly what you need to do, because remember, in our use case, we actually ordered them by priority, although we're not gonna play with that right now, but we might as well do it, write the query now, because we're gonna need it in the future. Okay, so now with this there, now we can go to our project task service. All right, and then we're just gonna create we're going to just create a little sorry guys, I lost my train of thought there. Just a little method that returns obviously the list. All right, so we are going to go to the project task service, and this is going to be an iterable of type project task that finds backlog by ID and takes the string ID, okay, the backlog ID, and then it returns the project task repository, find by identifier, order by priority, and then we pass it the ID. Cool. All right, and it seems that I have an error somewhere. What is it that it's not liking? Come on, talk to me. I don't even know where's. Oh, let me see. It must be at the obviously at the backlog controller, of course. Sorry about that, folks. And then what's the name that we gave it here? Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, public. There we go. Although that should have taken it. There we go. Yeah, I had to call it public. And then it's not liking this, and I know why. Actually, I don't need the response entity here, because it's literally an iterable of type project task. And then obviously here it is the same thing. I'm sorry guys, I know that this is taking a little bit, but I just something didn't go as I thought it would, and I think it's just iterable here. Okay. Okay, give me just a moment, guys, because right now I'm just like spinning my wheels unnecessarily. I'm having one of those moments when you're trying to just remember what it is that you were doing. It happens, I promise you, it happens. All you have to do here is this, and actually get rid of all of this here, because remember, here we don't have any issues to return, because all we're really returning is the list. And if we would have anything to return, then at that point we're just going to return an empty list. And then once, if the backlog doesn't exist, then we're going to handle that later, of course. But for now, we're just doing the happy path thing here. So as I mentioned, we're going to stop using H2 very soon. So here we're going to start creating project tasks. We're going to create 10 of them, and then we're going to get this exact same route, and we're just going to use it for getting, which is what we just wired up, and there you have it. Okay, we have all of our tasks lining up there beautifully. And again, even this is a lot better to just get what we need rather than getting project information. Okay, so at this point, I think we're only going to use the backlog repository to make sure that the backlog actually exists. But then at that point, then we're going to just start hitting the project task repository and the project task service directly. All right, so I hope this was a lot of fun, folks. I hope that you learned something about having unnecessarily huge payloads from the server, and another use for JSON ignore other than preventing the infinite recursion problem that we had in the earlier lectures. All right, guys, it's been my pleasure, and I'll see you later.